You ever get that gut feeling, that one thing is definitely causing another? Well, what if you could take that feeling and turn it into a seriously powerful predictive tool? Today, we're going to dive into this cycle that takes a simple hunch and transforms it into real, measurable insight.
So that's the big question, isn't it? How do we actually do that? We're going to break down the exact process economists use to pit their ideas against cold, hard reality. And here's the kicker. It doesn't start with spreadsheets or data. Nope. It all starts with a simple human moment of curiosity.
Right. So before you get to any of the complex equations or massive data sets, it all begins right here. It's that feeling that something is connected, that there's a pattern just hiding under the surface, waiting for someone to find it.
Exactly. It begins with what's called a corazonada, which is just a fantastic Spanish word for a gut feeling, a hunch. This is the creative spark. It's that little voice in your head that says, hey, I bet this is happening because of that. And our job, the whole point of this process, is to figure out if that hunch is actually right.
Okay, so you've got this abstract feeling, this hunch. How do you make it, testable? You build a theory. This is where we create a framework, kind of like a detective's case file, to define the mystery we're trying to solve and line up all our main clues.
First things first, we've got to define our mystery. In the world of econometrics, this is called the dependent variable, and you'll often see it written as YT. Just think of it as the case we're trying to crack. It's the thing that's changing over time that we want to explain. Could be anything from company sales to stock prices or even inflation.
All right, once we have our mystery, we need to identify our suspects, and these are called the explanatory variables, or just X. These are all the factors our hunch is screaming at us about, the things we think are influencing our mystery. Our job is to investigate every single one and figure out just how responsible it really is. And this brings us to the absolute core of our theory. It gets boiled down into this simple-looking equation. All it's really saying is, our mystery is a function of our suspects. That's it. The thing we're trying to explain is somehow related to, or maybe even caused by, all these different factors working together. Okay, let's make this super concrete. Imagine our mystery, our why, is a company's monthly sales. So what are our suspects? The X variables. Well, it could be the price of the product, right? Or the marketing budget. It could even be those big picture things like the country's inflation rate or how the economy's doing overall. Our model's job is to sift through all these suspects and tell us which ones really matter. All right, so we've got our theory and we've lined up our suspects. Now it's time to actually put this thing to work. See, the whole point of building this model isn't just to have a nice theory. It's to move from a general idea to a specific, calculated guess about what's going to happen. And that guess has a name. It's called the forecast, or Y-hat. See that little hat? Some people call it a sombrero, over the Y. That's a huge clue. It tells you this is a prediction, not the real deal. It's the number our model spits out when we feed it the actual values for our suspects. So for our sales model, let's say we plug in the numbers. We know the price is $19.99. We know the marketing budget is $10,000. We feed those into our model. It does its thing, crunches the numbers, and out pops our forecast, our YAT hat. The model predicts we're going to sell around 2,500 units. And here we are. This is the moment of truth. We have our model's prediction, which is great, but a prediction is pretty much useless until we see how it stacks up against what actually happened in the real world. It is time to confront the evidence. Okay, so our model predicted 2,500 units sold. But when the real sales numbers came in for the month, the reality was 2,350 units. See that? There's a gap. And I'm going to tell you right now, that gap, that's the most important part of this whole thing. Calculating this gap is super simple. The error is just reality minus our prediction. So in our example, that's 2,350 minus 2,500, which gives us negative 150. Now, your first instinct might be to see that number as a failure, right? But it's not at all. It's a clue. In the lingo of econometrics, this error is called the residual, and I absolutely love the Spanish word for it, sobrante. It literally means the leftover. It's the part of reality that our theory couldn't explain. And digging into this leftover, that's where the real learning starts. And this is such a key takeaway. We didn't build the model hoping it would be perfect. We actually built the model to find the error. Because understanding why our prediction was off, that's how we get smarter. That's how we get a better grasp on how the world really works.
So what do we do with this error? We learn from it. This isn't the end of the process at all. In fact, it's the beginning of the next loop in our cycle. This is where we take our newfound knowledge and use it to make our initial hunch even better.
Look, that negative 150, that's not a failing grade. It's a signal. It's telling us something. It's asking questions. Hey, did we miss a suspect? Maybe a competitor launched a surprise sale. Or, maybe our marketing campaign wasn't quite as effective as we thought. The error is a big, flashing sign pointing us where to look next.
And that right there brings us full circle. This is the entire prediction cycle. You start with a hunch. You build a model to put it to the test. You generate a forecast, then you compare that forecast to reality. You analyze the error, the leftover, which gives you the clues you need to refine your model and sharpen your hunch. And then, the whole cycle starts all over again, and you get smarter with every single loop.
So you see, the goal isn't really to build one single, perfect model that's never wrong. That's impossible. The real goal is to build a smarter process for understanding the world, a process of making an educated guess, checking our work against reality, and then systematically, and without ego, learning from what we got wrong. Which kind of leaves us with one final thought, right? Where else in your life or your work could you apply this incredible cycle of prediction and refinement?